This is just a short video just to show my part of my compost bin setup. And I've mentioned this before, but this is a good opportunity to just sort of show how it works. But when I first took this allotment on, there's a path between the two plots. There's a half plot here and this is another half plot, and this was a real slope, so I wanted to make the path usable because that was probably about a 5 foot wide path. So what I did is got loads of old joists and scaffold boards and kind of timber and logs and things like that, and filled up the low part of this and then mulched across with wood chip. But to make a retainer, I used some wooden pallets and then sort of made a sort of terrace coming out to this way, and then since then I've raised up the level of the bed and I kind of stepped the beds down. But what I wanted to show you is on top of the wooden pallets, I've got this plastic pallet, and there's all kinds of different varieties of these things, but this is quite a sort of flimsy one in a way, and it has actually settled down quite a bit, but it's not really a problem because I can always in the spring when I've emptied these bins out, I can just lift the pallets up and then put another layer of wood chip underneath and keep building it up that way. But I've got the plastic pallet and then this galvanised weld wire mesh on top, and it's a 10mm mesh, and what that stops is it stops rats from burrowing in under the bin. But because these settle down, because the bins are quite sort of flimsy, on the bottom part of the bin it's quite often where the rats will actually kind of, I think they can smell the contents in the bin and feel the warmth from it, so then they start to sort of gnaw around that bottom flange on the bin and then gain access to the compost. So what I've done here, and you can just see on a couple of the sides, I've got these concrete drive pavias, these sort of concrete drive sets, and they're just brick size, but they're concrete, so they will last. They're frost proof, they're kind of indestructible in a way. So I've got those round the edge, so it's like a course of those blocks, and then against that side I've got a wooden sort of path for accessing the bins. But what I thought I'd do is, because this is a quite established compost heap, there's lots of sort of soil life and fungi underneath the bins themselves, so I wanted to build up on that. So I've got these logs, and these were actually in the wood chip pile. They had some larger pieces, and they've just cut them into sections with a chainsaw, and they buried those under the wood chip when they delivered a bit. But I thought, well, some of them already had some nice sort of fungi on there, so I thought that'd be a good way of actually building up the sort of soil life and creating habitat as well. And what I want to do is sort of build up against the side of the compost bin, so it helps to insulate, so there's less of the bin actually exposed. And if you can see on that side, you've got the concrete blocks here, and then I've banked up the wood chip sort of halfway up to the compost bin, so that wood chip itself will be warm, and then that will help insulate and heat up the compost bin as well. So I've emptied this material out, and it wasn't fully composted. You can see here it's a mix of wood chip and grain, but there's already quite a lot of worms in there. So what I've done is just transferred that to one of my emptied out worm beds, and I've also topped up the worm towers with that material, so it's kind of like a feed as well. The worm bed in front, or just beyond that bed there, that's 250 litres, and as this had settled down a little bit, these are 330 litre bins, most of the material just went straight into that worm bed, and then the remainder I just used to kind of top up some of the worm towers. So that's emptied out, so now I can put fresh brewer's waste and wood chip in this one, and then that's sort of freed up a bin for that. And then what I might do is just go around with where the wood chip is, and then just kind of top up some of the bathtub wormeries as well, because this is really quite good stuff in terms of worm feed, and there's already sort of cocoons and quite a lot of life going on there. There's loads of fungi in here as well. I noticed lots of white sort of fungi and lots of yellow fungi, so it's I think having the wood chip is quite a nice mix, so it's sort of it's not just kind of microbes, it's sort of fungi and the worms themselves as well. So what I've noticed with these compost bins, what is quite nice is, I don't really know how effective it is, but when I first put these in, there was a layer of wood chip underneath, and the wood chip's obviously broken down, and it's creating sort of air spaces underneath. But what's quite kind of funny as well, even though you've got these air spaces, where it blocks up against the plastic kind of retains the moisture, and the leachate from the compost and the spent brewer's waste, the spent grain has got a lot of moisture in it, so you get a reasonable amount of leachate coming through. But the worms seem to be really sort of attracted to that as a sort of habitat. So they're, even though it's aerated, it's got lots of moisture as well. So it's quite a good combination for worms, because they obviously need humidity and moisture. So what I'll do is